Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are starting our unit with a lesson called Fractions as Division. So our goal today is that we're going to write a division word problem as a fraction. So our vocab is just kind of a refresher about division words. So this is a pretty straightforward division expression or problem. So the number that I'm dividing is called my dividend. So this is called my dividend. Okay, and it's what you are dividing. Okay, so how much you have and what you're dividing. This number right here is called my divisor. And that's how many groups I'm going to make. So I have 10 and I'm going to divide it into 2 groups. And this is, my answer is called a quotient. So this is probably the most common way to set up a division problem. This is usually used more for a long division problem, but I still have, this is what I'm dividing, this is how many groups, and then here is my answer, is my quotient. Okay, this is the one we're probably not as familiar with. This is actually a division problem. The way that you would read this would be, you would say 10 divided by 2. That's how you would say that. 10 divided by 2. Okay, so this is what we're going to be working with, and this is going to be really crucial that you understand this, not only for your unit test, but for the SBAC test, that this is also a way to use for division. Okay, so our steps tonight are pretty short. We're first going to underline what you are dividing or sharing. And as we said above, whatever you're dividing is called your dividend. So we're going to be underlining our dividend. Okay, once you know what your dividend is, then you're going to write your division problem and write it as a fraction, since that's what we're practicing. So we're going to write it as a fraction. Okay, our main step is then we're going to draw a model and label the parts. Okay, for your labeling, you can use 3 different things. You may want to use letters. You may want to use numbers or even patterns. So these are the 3 different ways that I've seen it done on tests. So we just want to kind of become familiar with all of them. Okay, so what does this actually look like? Let me grab my first problem. Okay, I'm going to push my steps up so we can refer to them. All right, here is my word problem. Remember, our goal is we're going to write this word problem as a fraction. Okay, so step 1 says I'm going to underline what I'm dividing or what I'm sharing. So let's read our problem. Ariana has 2 chocolate bars. She will divide them equally among her 3 friends. What amount of chocolate will each friend get? Okay, so I have 2 numbers. I have 2 and a 3. Well, am I dividing my 2 chocolate bars, or am I going to divide my 3 friends? Definitely my 2 chocolate bars. Okay, so my next step says write your division problem as a fraction. So my problem is I have 2 chocolate bars that I'm going to divide between 3 people. So really, this is what's happening. 2 chocolate bars divided between 3 people, but this is how we want to write it. Okay, my last step says draw a model and label the parts, and I can use letters, numbers, or patterns. Okay, so let's see. So here is my chocolate bars. Notice I'm going to use rectangles, which works for chocolate bars, but even if it was something that wasn't a rectangle, I would probably draw rectangles because they're the easiest for models. So here's my 2 chocolate bars, and I'm going to divide them between my 3 friends, or Ariana is. So I'm going to cut this one up into 3. And let's say friend 1 is stars, friend 2 is hearts, and friend 3 is circles. So I'm using patterns for this one. Okay, then I'm going to take my second chocolate bar and I'm going to cut it up again for my 3 friends. And I'm going to give my star friend another piece, my heart friend another piece, and my circle friend another piece. Okay, so how much did each friend get? Well, each friend got 2 pieces, and each piece was 1/3 big. So they got 2 pieces that were third, because really they got 1/3 of that chocolate bar and 1/3 of this chocolate bar. So they got 2/3. Look at that. I ended up with the same answer as my problem. Okay, let's check out another one. I'm going to follow my same steps. So I'm going to first underline what I'm dividing. So let's read the problem and figure out what I'm dividing. Claudia has 6 chocolate bars. She wants to share them equally with 4 of her friends. How many chocolate bars will each friend get? And I should have clarified this in the first problem. This doesn't include that she's going to eat them too. Sometimes that's kind of tricky if it's going to be the person with their friends. This one doesn't say she wants to share them with herself and her 4 friends. So that's why we're just thinking it's the 4. Okay, so I'm not dividing her 4 friends. I'm dividing the 6 chocolate bars. So that's my dividend. So my problem is 6 divided by 4, which is the same as 6 divided by 4, except this is the one we're practicing. Okay, so I already did step 2. I wrote it as a division problem as a fraction. So now I'm just going to draw it. So this time I have 6 chocolate bars. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Whew, I just have the room. 6. Let me move it up so you can see. Okay, so this time I have 4 friends. So I'm going to cut my first chocolate bar for my 4 friends. I'm not going to use a pattern this time. Maybe I'll use numbers and letters. Maybe I'll say F1, F2, F3, and F4. So friend 1, friend 2, friend 3, friend 4. Then I'm going to go to my next chocolate bar and do exactly the same thing. Maybe I'll pass out my pieces as I go. And I'm going to continue breaking up each chocolate bar for my 4 friends, who I'm calling F1, F2, F3, and F4. Let's see. Sorry, this is taking me so long. Okay, almost there. So my question says, how much chocolate bars is each friend going to get? Well, it doesn't matter if you're friend 1, friend 2, friend 3, or friend 4. Every friend is getting 6 pieces. So each friend's getting 6 pieces, and each piece is a 4th big. Or I could have said they're getting 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4. But pretty much each friend is getting 6 pieces that are a 4th big. Now, you and I know that we could fix this and we could use in and out to figure out what that really ends up being. So I'm saying each friend is getting 1 2/4, and maybe some of you already know that's 1 1/2. Okay, but the point is really I got the same answer. Now I'm going to look at both of my answers really quickly, and I want you just to notice something that will come up later. In this one, each friend ended up with less than 1. And in this one, each friend ends up with more than 1 candy bar. Can you kind of figure out why that is? Take a second to think. Okay, hopefully you realized here I had less candy bars than people, and here I had more candy bars than people. Okay, let's try some of these now. All right, I'm going to switch pens. Here's our first problem. I'm going to zoom back in for you. Betty has 2 pounds of flour to make 9 cakes. If the cakes are of equal size, how much flour does each cake get? Okay, so I had 2 numbers. So is she dividing the 2 pounds of flour into the 9 cakes, or the 9 cakes into the 2 pounds? This one's a lot trickier, right? Hopefully you realized she's going to divide her 2 pounds into the 9 cakes. So my problem is 2 pounds of flour divided into 9 cakes. Okay, so we have to draw. Now, obviously, pounds of flour doesn't look like rectangles, but like I said earlier, I like to draw a rectangle no matter what because it's easy. So here's my 2 pounds of flour, and she's going to take her first pound of flour, and she's going to separate it maybe into like 9 bowls to make her cakes maybe. I think for this one I'm just going to use numbers. So cake 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. And then she's going to take her second pound of flour, and she's also going to divide that into probably her bowls to make her cakes. Okay, so if we ask how much flour is going in each cake, well, each cake's getting 2 pieces, and the pieces are 1/9 sizes. Notice what happened. We ended up with our same answer. Okay, let's try one more together. Ramon has 15 minutes to finish 12 math problems. How much time does he have to finish for each problem? Okay, this I think is one of the trickiest ones. Hint, hint, you'll probably see this on a test because they like to give us the tricky ones. Okay, so what am I dividing? Am I going to divide the 15 minutes into the 12 math problems or the 12 math problems into the minutes? Yikes. Okay, here's a little hint. If you're not 100% sure, you might have to do trial and error. But let's stop to think about this first. If I have 15 minutes and I have 12 math problems, do I have more than 1 minute to do each math problem, or do I have less than 1 minute to do each math problem? Let's think about it. I have to do 12 problems in 15 minutes. So are you going to get more than 1 minute or less than 1 minute? I hope you realized you're going to get more than 1 minute. I'm going to get more than 1 minute. Because if I got 1 minute for each math problem, that would be 12 minutes. But since I have 15, I'm going to have more than 1 minute. So let's think about it. If we're not sure which one to do, should we do 12 over 15 or should we do 15 over 12? Which one's going to give me an answer that's more than 1? If my question is how much time does he have to finish each problem? Okay, I hope you realized we're going to want this one, which means I'm going to divide my 15 minutes into my 12 math problems. Wow, this one's going to be a lot of work to draw. Okay, when you get to one like this to draw, I'm going to even let you slide if you could prove it to me that you understand you needed it to be more than 1 minute, which is why we chose that one. Okay, looking on your homework though, your numbers are 5 and 7. You should be able to draw that, or 3 and 8. So I'm not going to let these slide. Okay, I hope you're feeling okay. We'll be practicing this on Wednesday if not. Okay, make sure after you try yours, you rate your understanding. All right, have a nice night, ladies and gentlemen.